Today in the Nerdy Gritty, we talk about Jedi, Fallen Order, and the future of single-player games.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I'm Dez.
And I'm Fox.
Fox, tragedy has hit recently. This is real tragedy.
No, we're talking about
Notre Dame. Yeah, it sucks.
Oh, I thought you were making a joke.
No,
Okay.
I'm not. I am.
I thought I was gonna say, oh yeah, the Notre Dame tragedy is really terrible, and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, whatever. But also this,
No, for
that's
real.
our standard. But yes,
that's
is a
tough
real
thing.
It is a tragedy.
Yeah,
you
and
could
it
say
sucks.
yes.
The cool thing is that not much of the art and things like that were impacted by it. It's mostly
aside from the art of the building,
itself, but
Yeah.
it's mostly the exterior that was damaged, other than the
Sure.
actual collapsing of the interior
Sure.
part. But other than that, it didn't, not much. But of what has been damaged, articles are coming out saying that Assassin's Creed Unity is going to be used
Yeah.
as a tool to help rebuild the spire and
They
parts
used
of
3D
Notre Dame.
modeling and basically had an accurate recreation of the
Yeah, so
chapel
I
in their
guess
game.
when they were making the game, the art devs that were making the chapel and,
Yep.
and Notre Dame, they got as much like grainy detail as
Yeah.
they possibly could when they made this thing, like as deep as they could make it with the system able to render it. They did that.
Yeah.
And so people are like, oh, do we have any 3D models of it? And Assassin's Creed Unity, Ubisoft is like, yeah, actually we
back
do.
here.
Yeah. And to me, this is just one of like the coolest
awesome.
examples of the good that games can do and things
Yeah.
like that. And in honor of that, good guy Ubisoft, which is not something you usually hear, is giving away Assassin's Creed Unity.
Yeah, no, they're really playing this right. It's a pretty cool thing, just in their effort to make us able to kill people on as accurate as possible.
Right, absolutely.
Notre Dame, that now they can actually recreate the chapel, or what the building.
It
because of
makes me wonder, like, what else they have gone to that extent for, like the pyramids of Giza or
Yep.
whatever else in Origins.
Did you see the article that came out with that where there was somebody tweeted like, whoa, crazy, they predicted that there was a room in this part of the pyramid that we just discovered after the game came out, and Ubisoft is like, no, we didn't predict that. We were working with resource scientists. Like, we knew that was there.
They just
This
hadn't
is accurate.
announced it yet.
Yeah.
They told us first. Like,
No, yeah. Assassin's Creed, as far as like gameplay goes, has been pretty standard for a while, even with their new ones. But they have done a lot of good in like historical recreation. They've been doing that since the first game, but really amping it up each time. So.
Well, Origins, there was that whole option to be able to traverse it just for the historical part of it.
Yeah,
Like,
take out all the combat, take out the leveling system, all that, and literally just make it you can explore Egypt.
yeah,
They were using that in classrooms.
that's amazing,
to
man.
just kind of like there was even like if you went to certain pyramids or certain landmarks, you could then activate educational mode or whatever, and it would just take you on a guided tour around the landmark and tell you interesting things about it. And people were using that in classrooms. Like Ubisoft, really, I think they only get they get like crap for just kind of repetitive games. Like they just do the yearly thing.
Well, and for
That's
being
not-
AAA devs and publishers get crap because they're AAA.
All except for CD Projekt Red, AAA developers
And
get
Naughty
crap.
Dog.
Yeah, and Naughty Dog. That's true.
What have you been up to, man?
I bought Final Fantasy X for the Switch. I own it for the PS2.
How many times have you purchased
Now. Oh, how many times have I purchased Final Fantasy X in my life? Probably 6 or 7. I went through a pretty big cycle, like several times in my life, where I bought a PS2 because I wanted to play Final
That's called an
Fantasy
addiction, Fox. I keep trying to give it up, but then I just go get
And
it
then
again.
eventually I sell it for another system, and then I'm like, you know what, I should get it again. And I finally made the decision a couple years ago. I'm gonna buy it and never get rid of it. So
You have a
now that
problem,
means
sir.
I own Final Fantasy X and X-2 for the PS2, PS4, and the Switch. But I started playing it for the Switch again, and it's still one of my favorite games of all time.
I have been playing a lot of Division 2.
Right.
This game is very quickly.
It's a departure for what you play.
I know it really
A
is
big departure.
but I'm loving it. Gosh,
Yeah.
I love it so much. Josh and I, one of the guys that I play with, used to play these types of games a lot, but that was
Right.
years ago. He and I haven't gamed much together in a while, so it's been really cool to get back together with him, play a lot more, to get back into our squad goals. That's what that means. It's about shooting people, squad goals.
Yeah.
But what I love the most about Division 2 is it's a loot shooter, of
Yeah.
course. How quickly your loot becomes less important than your clothes. People be like,
It's fashion shooter.
no, I got another sniper. Is this sniper? I don't know. I'm not even gonna look right now. It's just, I picked up
whatever.
I picked up 6 sniper
Pants!
rifles. Exactly. It is exactly that. Like, oh, I got a new scarf. Like,
Oh, hold on, everybody.
and so, I think that I think as of right now, I'm thinking we're gonna change our name. Like every Thursday night, it's going to be Men at Work, because me and
I
Nick.
come from a land down under.
Me and Nick are dressed as police officers. Josh is dressed as Coast Guard, and we just need to get some sort of
so
like
you should be
some, like,
village people.
some like city word. No, because he's not going to be like an Indian or anything
Young
like
man.
that.
Oh, they don't put headdresses as loot. Weird.
So, I've been playing a lot of Division and really enjoying it, but mostly enjoying the clothes. It's fashion shooter, and I love it.
No, there's a game called Warframe, one of the most popular free-to-play
Yeah.
online games right now. They're very, very good at recognizing what the community likes and just making the game like that.
Yeah,
And so there are, suits basically that you wear in them called Warframes, and people wanted to like customize them. And so now they put in a super heavy customization mode where you can like design your Warframe suit, and this is all aesthetically.
right.
Make it look however you want, and then literally sell that suit to other people.
That's
Like, as
really
in, like,
cool.
in-game stuff.
Right, in-game
Because
currency.
they're also very good at not making it a power pay to
win.
But
so-
it's
'cause-
called fashion framing.
So many people are going to go on just to do that.
Yeah, it's a thing.
That's
It's-
cool.
There's a lot to do in that game in a lot of different ways, but that's a lot of like end game stuff, is people just creating cool warframes and trading them. And
So the other thing that I did recently is my wife and I rented and watched Aquaman.
really,
Yeah, we did.
and okay, here is my, based on what I know about it. I haven't seen it. What reviews I've seen, your review, and what I know about you.
Yep.
Your review is it's pretty good.
Nope.
Oh no, you
It
hate.
was not good.
Yeah, I love it when you hate a movie.
I didn't hate
unless
it.
I hate it or I
Oh.
like it, and then you're wrong.
You would hate it. You
Oh,
would
I'm sure I
hate
would. Yeah, no, I
it.
actively, that and Shazam, I'm like, no, I will not pay to see those,
Ugh,
regardless of what I think about them.
I regret paying even the rental fee to watch Aquaman.
Oh, man,
It was-
okay.
Here's what I'll
I
say.
will not pay any money to see it.
The quality of story, like the quality of enjoyments of the story, I consider equal to Infinity War. This is me saying what I felt about it.
Yeah.
Infinity War is a better movie.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say that.
Sure.
Like that says a lot about how I feel about Aquaman.
I watched the first 45 minutes of Infinity War, speaking of which.
Again,
Well, no, my wife wanted to watch it, and I watched a little bit of it, and then came over here and we recorded on Sunday.
right? And you almost fought me.
Oh, sure. No, I really do love that movie. I recognize there are flaws, but I find it to be a very impressive movie.
Right.
That's not what I want to talk about, but it did make me want to watch a whole lot of other, like, I don't want to watch all these movies again before Endgame, but there are some scenes, and I'm like, that was a great scene. I'm going to watch again. I watched, and I just looked on what's on YouTube, because you can't really put whole movies and just
Right.
kind of random things on there. But the scene in which, I just want to bring this up, Age of Ultron, the party scene, right at the
It's
beginning,
so good.
after they take down the final Hydra stronghold,
Mhm.
and right before Ultron appears, that scene in which they're just hanging out,
Incredible.
and partying, and like then they do the whole like hammer thing.
Lifting Thor's hammer.
That is one of, like, I think one of the great, that, and then also the scene at the farm in that movie. A lot of people do not like Age of Ultron. I kind of understand.
I think a lot of people don't
didn't-
like Age of Ultron because they're dumb and they thought that
it didn't have the same feeling as Avengers, because
Right.
we're now deeper into the lore and you have to start adding more in, and
Right.
it's going to be less concise, really, by nature. But those two scenes, I think, those two parts of the movie, because it's not just one scene each, but some of the best scenes in all of the MCU. No,
Oh,
anyway,
man.
I'm excited, but we've got things to talk about.
We do have things to talk about. We should get down to the
We
nitty-gritty.
really should go ahead and do that.
But first, we want to let you guys know that we have a Patreon that we would love for you guys to support.
Right.
The stuff that you just listened to, we talk about a lot of things. It's a long conversation. We edit it down for the edited version. The director's cut's the one we have.
I call it the short version.
Yeah, the short version.
It's the free version.
Yeah, the free version that we put out there. We talk about a lot of things, though, like our predictions for Endgame and for my opinion of Aquaman and all kinds of things like that. If you want to go hear all of these things, you might have heard a snippet of them. If you want to hear all of them, our $5 and $10 a month patrons get access to all of our director's cut stuff, unedited versions of our podcast, as well as early access to a lot of our YouTube stuff, and a lot of other cool things. Access to our Discord.
I'm gonna look to start doing is I would need to figure out how to, because generally when I play a game, there are a lot of times when I'll play a game fully and then put it all on YouTube at once, and it'll come out day after day, an episode a day. I'm looking at trying to give our patrons access to seeing everything from day one.
Right.
I think it's possible. I haven't figured it out, but that's something I'd like to do. So that's going to be a thing coming up. We also do have just exclusive Patreon videos, demos that we've done, things like that. I've got a couple of
Pun War videos that we did were exclusive for our patrons for a while.
Of those, I've been working on some Nintendo Switch demos. Those are real fun to play. And if you are able to, and if you enjoy our content that we put out, we really appreciate any way you support us, even if that's just listening to us, but also sharing with others or commenting on YouTube or whatever platform you listen to on. We appreciate you. And if you can go that extra mile and just become a patron, we would really appreciate it.
Yeah, and if $5 or $10 a month seems out of your range, we do have $1 a month. That's just $12 a year. That's like not getting that Red Robin lunch one time, you know.
and not worth it.
And at that point, you get access to our Discord as well as access to all of our Patreon content, and you get a production credits for any of the videos that we make with our Patreon funds.
The first game that will be directly funded by Patreon that we're starting it today.
That's right.
We're starting playing it today.
Yep.
As we're recording this.
Yes. So it'll come out.
Come out soon.
About a week. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get down to the nitty gritty. So recently, EA has been talking about a game that they're going to be coming out with. It's called Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes.
And this is the first RPG Star Wars game that's going to be coming out in a long while here.
Yeah, it's been a good amount of time.
And some of them, a lot of the recent Star Wars games have kind of been a flop.
Really, all that's coming out recently, as far as console video games go, is
Battlefront 2.
2,
yeah.
1 and 2. And both of those were just kind of, especially 1, were a big old disappointment.
Yeah.
And not really, just kind of a flash in the pan.
So there has been a lot of trepidation and a lot of skepticism about this. And so EA has announced that this game is going to be story-focused, single-player.
Exclusively single-player.
No loot boxes. Yeah, no
from the initial
microtransactions or anything like that. Right. Yeah, this is going to be, you buy it, you play it by yourself.
Yes.
You experience it. That's all you need to do.
Yep.
And this has raised a lot of questions of, are single-player games still relevant? There are a lot of voices in the gaming world that say, yes, please, we want single-player games. We want those good story modes. We want the single-player incredible experience. But then money that we put into it and purchases don't reflect that.
Sure, yeah.
And so companies like EA look and they see, hey, you know what? We can make more money if we do a multiplayer mode.
Yeah.
Or if we have something like that. And so it has raised this question that's going on right now. Are single player games still relevant?
Yeah. A large part of me is just very sad that this is how it is now. The vast majority of gaming history, you bought a game and you played it. The whole the term that has come to be to come to describe a lot of these games is games as a service. It is an ongoing thing. Fortnite is the prime example of this right now. It is not just a game that you can play with people online. it's not just a game where there's loot boxes, it's that there is ongoing benefit to continually, like, you can do basically all the same things in Fortnite if you just play it or if you have the battle pass or
Right.
whatever. But your experience is greatly enhanced by continually paying for this game.
Right.
And it's just it's a gaming as a service rather than a product that you bought. Even if there's like DLC, because there's plenty of single player games with DLC, those are still just additional packs. You're not continually paying for them. It's still a one-time thing. So that's just kind of, I have to tell myself this is how it is now.
Yeah.
Like, even though I don't like, I really wish it was, those are the whatever games that nobody cares about. No, that's just how the industry works now.
Yeah.
People are willing to do this, and I am not somebody who can say, no, you shouldn't, because people get to make their own decisions.
Yeah, it's tough because, like the money says, there's been a reflection that just says multiplayer modes make more money. Like Halo Infinite's coming out, and there's just released that it's going to have a battle royale mode.
Yeah.
And the people just know that, okay, single player game, but there has to be a multiplayer mode if you want to be able to continue, if you want to be able to remain relevant and continue to make money off of this. And so here's my honest opinion of this whole idea of single player games. I'm fine if they're not just single player games. I love the idea of a single player game, and I prefer single player games that I can play, in-depth story and everything else like that. But you know what's going to happen in 5 years? God of War is this incredible, one of the greatest games ever made, is going to be remembered as a really great game, and people aren't really going to be buying it anymore, though, and it's not really going to be relevant. And you know what's going to happen in 5 years? Kingdom Hearts 3, this incredible game, is just not going to be relevant anymore. But you know what is going to be relevant? Fortnite.
Fortnite will still be played. World of Warcraft has remained like as not as popular, but nearly as popular as it always has been. What are they at? 15 years in now?
Right.
12 years, something like that. Like, yeah, if your goal is to remain relevant to culture with one game forever or for as long as you can, then yes, single player games are not really, that's not where you're going to make your mark.
So I think the truth of the matter is even as an artist, if your goal is to have a piece of art that impacts for a long time, you have to also consider what are ways that you can do that. What are ways that you can make your art relevant for a long amount of time. Now, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. If your goal is, you know what, I don't want to do that. I want my game to be a single player. I want my game to be Sekiro. No multiplayer at all.
Sure.
No online anything. I don't want that at all.
Right.
If that's your goal, awesome. Great. Thumbs up. But we have to realize as gamers, guess what? From Software is not going to be making money off of Sekiro the way that they're making money now. They're not going to be making that money in 1 year.
Sure.
They're not going to be making that money anymore. Whereas multiplayer games like The Division 2, they're not going to be making the exact same amount of money, but it will still remain relevant.
Yeah. The difference is, though, and there's a lot of aspects, but Fortnite, to continue supporting Fortnite, Epic Games is continually putting money into it.
Right.
Their servers continue to exist, making new content for it continues to be they have to pay the developers, they have to pay the people making this game. Whereas Sekiro, as far as I know, aside from maybe like advertisement after the game comes out, things like that, is a one-time expense. I mean, it takes several years to make it, and that's
a good point.
But they are not going to be paying to make Sekiro a year from now, and so if they are not making the same amount of money from selling Sekiro, that's okay. In fact,
they've made their money.
The money they make in a year is not. I mean, by that point, because of how popular it is, probably just pure profit because they're not spending money on that game anymore. Aside from maybe advertisement or like it's a different category. It's a one-time expense to buy a car, but to be able to drive it, you have to have insurance. And so if you want that car to remain something you can drive, you have to pay for insurance. You have to pay for gas. Like There's a difference in how those games cost
That's
the
actually a really good
developers.
point. You're shifting my opinion as we speak, because that's a really good point. Because it was like last year that the servers for Demon's Souls, not Dark Souls,
Yes.
not Bloodborne, for Demon's Souls,
Way back on the PS3.
the servers just shut down like last year.
Yeah.
That means that they were paying people to maintain those
Yes.
servers and to take care of that online play. And eventually decided it's not worth it to pay these people or to
There's
maintain
not
that
enough
anymore.
people playing it, so
Right.
we're not going to
So we're not going to do
continue.
that anymore. And so, but again, at the same time, you know what's still relevant today? Demon's Souls.
Sure.
Like the people, still totally relevant today. Dark Souls.
There is we also do need to define relevance, because relevance can be seen as it's still like relevant to a current conversation. People are playing Fortnite right now. But as far as impact on artistic creation, of Mass Effect is still relevant. It came out a long time ago, but if you want to talk about the artistic possibilities of video games, then Mass Effect and its amazing storytelling and its player choice options, while much more standard now, is super relevant to the conversation, because it didn't originate those things.
Right.
But it is a big like tentpole game, a big like what's the word I'm looking for? Fork in the road, where when this came out, it was shown to be possible. Games can do this, or games choose not to do this. It wasn't like possibly impossible or undone before. And so, if you want your game to be relevant, to me, there's two different possible choices. You can be Naughty Dog and put years and years and money, or Rockstar, although they do games as a service as well with their
Right.
persistent online stuff. But Red Dead Redemption 2, or with Last of Us 2 coming out, like, you can put years and effort and time into crafting and creating an amazing, perfect experience of a game, and have it be remembered as this amazing artistic creation. Or you can do Fortnite, which people love it. I'm not saying it's a bad game.
No,
I'm saying
yeah.
it's actually a pretty well designed game. If it wasn't,
Obviously, that people wouldn't play it. Yeah.
right? But it doesn't have that emotional impact that something like a single player, that Last of Us, or that God of War, or that I'm looking at a list of games of the year, and big coincidence, they're all single player only games.
Yeah.
Because even Red Dead Redemption 2 Online is basically considered to be a different game.
Right.
Same with GTA 5 Online, but like, they have a very different meaning for what their relevance is. And so I think both of them can exist. I think one is more important than the other, and I think single player games are more important to the artistry of the video game genre.
Gosh, and again, I'm just struggling here with the financial side of it and the artistic side of it, because I don't disagree with you. I think
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. And especially because you mentioned Naughty Dog, and so I'm going to bring up Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4 was a masterpiece of a game.
Absolutely.
It's incredible. The story was beautiful.
It will be remembered forever.
I had never played an Uncharted game in my life, and I watched somebody play Uncharted 4, and it made me want to go back and watch all the other Uncharted, which I did, and then I watched Uncharted 4 again,
Yeah.
and it was so good.
I played all 3 of the Uncharted games and then played 4, and it was so cool to have like these. Like, it was so emotionally impact. There's a scene at the very beginning where you kind of go up in your attic, and there's just little like reminders of
From
the
all the
different
games of the
and you're
past.
like, oh, and like now you just feel it, like these characters have been with you for so long. You're just like, I'm back with my friends, or back with these people I care about. And Fortnite doesn't do that.
No, it does not. But, Fox, when was the last time we talked about Uncharted 4?
Maybe never.
Yeah,
I mean,
like when it came out, after you played it for a
sure.
little
After I
bit,
played it, was probably
right? But we still talk about the like Fortnite or these multiplayer games, and I know they're hard to compare. It's like apples and
right.
oranges. They
It's
really,
why I'm
really
saying
are.
there's a different type of relevance.
Right, but the lasting impact. You're talking about impact, and I hate to say it, but I think that Fortnite has had a greater impact on gaming than Uncharted 4.
Sure. No, I could completely agree with that too. Uncharted 4 was like a masterful iteration of something that had been done before. Whereas the consistent game for like service of a game where it's, you put in your money repeatedly, which has been a thing before, but like the events that happen, you have your battle seasons, you have things like that, like the difference, the eternally evolving. There was a person, some DJ Marshmallow or something like that. It wasn't technically live, it was pre-recorded, but it was like a one time, and he put it like on his like tour list, but had a concert in Fortnite, like in the game. At this time, you go to this place on this server, you will be a part of this online concert. And it was like a really big deal. Like, they're doing things that haven't been done before. Whereas Uncharted 4, sure, maybe it's technically a bigger achievement than others, or emotionally we resonate with it more than most other games. But to be fair, it is something that people have done before, just better.
Right. So what if, like, we're talking about games that have had lasting impact and ways that we can do that. The one that I'm going to reach for immediately is Halo.
Yeah.
Halo's impact on the gaming industry has been monumental.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways. And you know why? Because they crafted a solid single-player story experience.
A very good sci-fi narrative.
A lot of people really enjoyed. They can tell you all. It's got books. It's got movies.
Yes.
Like, people love it. But you know what else they did? They crafted a incredible multiplayer side of it as well.
Yeah, I'd go with GoldenEye for this. Basically the same thing. The story was not the same, but the actual mechanics and the game itself were pretty revolutionary at the time as far as single player go. But that multiplayer also blew people's minds.
So to have gamers sitting there saying exclusively single player is what we want, stop trying to fit multiplayer in. I agree with that. Stop trying to shove multiplayer in.
There have been companies.
It's very clear when you do that.
There have been companies who have tried and like, you know what, nah.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
The last two have not had multiplayer.
Yeah.
And it's probably a good thing for the game.
And the multiplayer that was in there,
it was a cool concept, but it really didn't last.
So when you try and shove, like, force feed multiplayer into a game,
kids like this,
it's going to come out lackluster. So, like, for example, if you tried to put multiplayer into Uncharted 4, let's be honest, Uncharted 4 is a phenomenal narrative, but its actual combat is fine.
Oh, yeah, pretty standard.
Yeah, it's standard.
Cover-based shooting.
And it's clean,
stealth.
and it's really well done, and it works great. But it's not like multiplayer revolutionary.
No, yeah.
It's not going to be
Nobody
great.
remembers, because of its crazy awesome shooting.
Right.
They remember it because of the narrative that was crafted.
So I feel like us as gamers really need to put our trust back into I know it's really hard to say, but trust back into the companies saying, hey, if you feel like multiplayer is good here, we'll take it. If you want to make Jedi Fallen Order and put a multiplayer in that, we'll take it. We will. But as long as you're not taking away from the narrative part.
Sure. Yeah. This is our conversation from 2 weeks ago about Sekiro and having an easy mode actually is pretty relevant here, because it comes down to player interaction with developers and developers being guided by what players want or demand. Because there is, with every single game, even something like Fortnite or PUBG or Apex Legends, where they are games as a service and largely in large part about continuing revenue streams and not necessarily, but they all do have an artistic vision for them. There is somebody or a group of people, whoever, at Epic Games who say, this is what we see Fortnite being. It was very different at the beginning because Battle Royale was a very small part of it. It's kind of, I bet those people are like, stupid Battle Royale. My cool fort building zombie
stupid
survival.
PUBG ruined everything.
Yeah, right. But like, there is, with every game, no matter how single player or multiplayer or money making focused or narrative focused the game is, there is always artistic vision. And the whole Sekiro thing, I honestly did not know about the whole conversation before we had that, and I just saw it as like, oh, there might need to be accessibility options.
Right.
But every game that comes out, there is an artistic vision, and it's just coming down to the developer deciding, people want this, can we do it well, or no? Well, this is what we decided we are making. So with EA and Respawn Entertainment, who are creating Jedi Fallen Order, it seems as though they know what they're getting themselves into.
Right.
They are saying, hey, this is like, we know this is not what makes the big bucks, but we want to support. We have, hopefully they're saying, we have such a good story, we have such a good narrative that we've created that we think this game deserves to be focused on that, as well as maybe they're saying we don't want this to die, we don't want single player, to be pushed to the wayside just for awards. We want it to be a big, huge thing for people to play. And so, yeah, we have to kind of just suck it up, I think. Like, if a video game company decides, yeah, we're not going to do multiplayer, we're not going to do it as a service, we're not going to put loot boxes in there, a lot of us are going to say, yeah, that's great, that's awesome, I'll do that. Some people want that, though.
Right.
Some people see that this is how I play games. And, it's just, where do we draw the line between video games being a audience-focused decision-making game, industry, and artist-focused, vision that they've created.
Right. I'm just thinking to myself, and yes, always, in my opinion, at least, the art should be the goal. It should be your top goal.
Sure.
But I'm thinking to myself, and when we say multiplayer, a lot of people think that's PvP. It doesn't always have to be that.
No.
Just think if, not Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild came out with co-op campaign mode, multiplayer.
It'd be fun.
I would probably
love
go
to
buy a Switch to play it with you. Yeah, you'd play it again.
I've played it a little bit since then, but I pretty much demolished everything in that game the first
Right.
time, and I have not really felt the urge to like jump back into that world again. So
Right.
I experienced it. But if I could go through it with somebody else and they like tweaked the challenge and maybe even made some like the puzzles like two-player like folk. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
You both need to do the magnetic thing or whatever.
Or what if one of you is Zelda
Sure,
and they get different powers?
That would clinch. That would be exactly what they need. Don't just put Zelda or Link 2 like just Shadow version or whatever.
Right.
Make it a narrative focused thing.
Yeah. And maybe it's only like 3 hours of content or whatever.
It's just another
but
DLC thing.
people would buy consoles for that.
That would be great. It would be awesome. And it would also be a big departure for the series that game already was.
So what I'm saying,
ripe opportunity.
My point here is that there are a lot of gamers out there that are saying single player games are still relevant. Please just make single player games.
Right.
I'm not saying they're wrong. What I am saying is, hey, make what you think is good.
Yeah.
And if you honestly think you can make a good multiplayer, put it in there, man. Make your game last. Make it a long-lasting game that people can enjoy together. Do that. If you really just want to focus on that single-player thing, that's fine too. But I don't want to decry multiplayer mode.
Yeah, because multiplayer can be great. We just talked about how you have had a lot of fun playing Division 2.
Right.
And it's in large part due to the fact that you were playing with friends.
Yes.
Like, together. There is one more question that I think people are asking, and to me it's kind of a clickbait, but like, or kind of a clickbait type thing, but there are people stating that people have to buy Jedi Fallen Order. This is a referendum on the health of the single player.
Yeah, what brought this up for us is a Forbes article titled, "If gamers really want single player games, they'll have to buy Jedi Fallen Order."
That's not true.
No.
This literally the same exact thing was said about Wolfenstein 2.
Yeah.
It's not true. Like, people will continue to make games. In fact, like, I even think that if the single player market starts shifting into the indie realm, that's great. Where people have more creativity, maybe they're not massive, 200-hour open world games. They're just kind of indie, smaller things. Like, it's just going to shift.
Yeah. I saw people say things like, so there were other people who have been saying this, like, you have to buy Jedi Fallen Order if you want to support. And people are like, why?
Yeah.
Games are there's plenty. There are none. What about like God of War or
Remember
Breath of the Wild
or the best of the
or
best
Spider-Man? Okay, well, none that aren't like console exclusive first party. What about Kingdom Hearts or
Red Dead Redemption?
So many games that. What are you talking about? No, this is silly.
It's hyperbole to make like some of these articles. Like I said, it's clickbait because it doesn't actually make any sense.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Jedi Fallen Order has really kicked up this conversation on the relevancy of single player games. Here's what I'll say though: single player games are obviously still relevant.
Yes,
They do
and
a great
always
job.
will be.
They
will never disappear.
They win awards.
Yes.
And they will continue to win awards.
Right.
And that's awesome.
There is a difference. There are two separate categories: Game of the Year and Best Ongoing Game. There's a reason for that, because Destiny 2, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, Overwatch, Rainbow Six Siege, by their very nature, cannot, and this might be a controversy, cannot live up to what games like God of War or Red Dead Redemption or Spider-Man deliver through their very focused,
in their artistic narrative.
Yeah,
no, you can't.
They can't.
You can't.
They do not have the opportunity, and I think a large part of it is we talk about artist focus, but games are an industry, and it just comes down to what the company is trying to do. Are they trying to make money?
Right.
That's fine. You're a company. But if that's your focus, that's going to change everything you do about your game.
Yep.
Although there are always exceptions. Red Dead Redemption 2 still made billions of dollars off their single player focused game before the online service came out. Like, there are always exceptions, but it's we talked a lot about this at work actually recently, about vision and how that changes like how you do things. And if your vision is how can we have a continual stream of revenue, that's going to result in something like Fortnite. People still love it. It's not a bad game, but your focus is not on creating a vibrant piece of art for people to devour.
Narrative.
It's about creating a service that people will continue to pay for.
Well, guys, thank you so much for listening. Let us know what you think about single-player games. Maybe you are somebody who thinks that you need to buy Jedi Fallen Order to support single-player games. Fox and I talk a lot about voting with your wallet.
Yeah.
You know, we played Outward specifically to vote with our wallets, and we actually had a lot of fun with it. Well, I had a lot of fun with it.
A little bit.
And so if you're somebody who thinks that, let us know why. Let us know your opinion on that. Maybe you're somebody who thinks that multiplayer needs to be in every single game. Let us know why. Tell us your opinion on it. We want to hear this. Most importantly, though, we just want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for supporting us in whatever way you do. And always remember, saved games, save lives.
See you next week.